Adam, stay healthy. Huyen and Maya will return to their homeland tomorrow. Thank you for helping me find Huyen and Maya.
You don't have to thank me, brother. I've seen how you searched for them day and night, rain or shine. That love, it touches the heart. I'm just glad I got to accompany you for a part of that journey. Dee, I'm sorry I can't help you stay here. Take care of your health when he moves away. Then promise me one thing, take care of them. Give Maya the life she deserves. And don't forget to send me a picture when she starts school.
The evening sky burned orange over the quiet hills, casting long shadows across the garden where Maya once played. Inside the small bamboo house, the air was thick with silence. It was the silence of parting, a kind that hangs heavy in the chest, where every breath feels like a goodbye. Huyen stood by the door, her hands resting on the frame she and Dee had carved together just a few months ago. This house was nothing but a dream, scraps of wood, bundles of thatch, muddy hands, aching backs, and laughter echoing beneath a wide, hopeful sky. Now, the dream was slipping away. I didn't think it would end like this, Huyen whispered, her voice trembling. Dee looked at her, his heart heavy. Neither did I. It had been Uncle To who broke the news. He came that afternoon, carrying a small gift for Maya and eyes full of regret. My son has sold the land, he said gently. He needed the money. I'm sorry. They had known this land wasn't theirs, but somehow, in the daily rhythms of planting vegetables, teaching Maya numbers, and boiling porridge over a wood fire, it had become home. A place where Maya could laugh freely, where Huyen could forget the fear of her past, and where Dee could dream of a peaceful life for the woman and child he loved. Now, it would all be gone, torn down, piece by piece, like it never existed. The night before their departure, Huyen sat outside beneath the stars. Maya was already asleep inside, curled up on the floor beside Baby, the family's loyal dog. Why is it, she asked quietly, that I only ever want a quiet life, but the world keeps taking it away? Dee sat beside her, staring at the garden bed he had dug with his own hands. The water spinach had just started to sprout. The thought of leaving them behind felt like abandoning hope. I'm sorry, he said, voice low. I tried to protect this for you, for Maya, but I couldn't. Huyen shook her head. Don't say that. You gave us more peace than I ever thought I'd have again. This house, this garden, even if we leave, it will always live in my heart. They woke early the next morning. The mist was still hanging low when Huyen folded the last of Maya's clothes into a woven bag. Dee disassembled the wooden table he had built for Maya's lessons, quietly, carefully, as though it still held her laughter. Maya tugged at her mother's shirt. Mommy, where are we going? Huyen crouched down and cupped her daughter's face. We're going to a new place, my love. But don't worry. As long as we're together, everything will be okay. Maya nodded, but her eyes were filled with questions. Behind her, Baby let out a soft whine, sensing the shift, the sadness that filled the space. Before leaving, Huyen turned around and looked at the house one last time. The door frame still held her fingerprints. The walls still smelled of bamboo and sunshine. She didn't cry. Not because she wasn't sad, but because there were no more tears left to give. Dee placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Let's go." She nodded. They didn't look back again. Down the dusty road, the family walked in silence, their belongings tied in cloth, their hearts aching with every step away from what they had built. But in the quiet strength between Huyen and Dee, there was still something unbreakable: love, resilience, and the hope that somewhere ahead there would be a new beginning. And though they were heartbroken to leave their small house behind, they carried with them something even more precious: the bond of a little family who had weathered every storm and would keep walking together, no matter where the road led. The sun had not yet risen when Adam reached the small garden behind the hill. He had come with a small basket of sweet potatoes and dried fish, hoping to surprise them Huyen, Dee, and little Maya. It had been days since he last visited. Work had kept him away, and though he was exhausted, his heart was light with anticipation. But as he approached the little bamboo house, something felt off. The garden was still. The gate swung gently in the morning breeze. No sound of Maya's giggles. No smoke from the kitchen fire. No barking from Baby. Adam's smile slowly faded. He stepped closer. The door was ajar. Inside, the shelves were empty. The cooking pot was gone. The small table Dee had built for Maya's lessons was no longer there. Even the hand-stitched curtain Huyen had hung was missing. Gone. They were gone. Adam stood frozen in the doorway, the basket still in his hands. His chest tightened, as though someone had reached in and taken a piece of his heart. A neighbor passing by saw him and paused. "You're looking for Huyen and Dee?" Adam turned quickly. "Yes. Where are they?" The neighbor looked down, voice soft. "They left early this morning. Something about the land being sold. They said they had no choice." Adam's throat closed. He looked back at the empty house, trying to imagine Huyen's hands folding clothes, Dee hammering nails, Maya running barefoot through the yard. "I didn't even get to say goodbye," he whispered. Later, Adam sat on the front steps of the empty house. The morning had fully broken now, but he felt stuck in a darker hour. He thought of the first time he saw them, Huyen with quiet strength in her eyes, Maya holding onto her mother's hand, and Dee, always with silent kindness in his presence. They had become like family to him. He remembered how Maya once tugged on his shirt and asked shyly, "Uncle Adam, will you teach me how to read this word?" He smiled through the ache. "I should have come sooner," he muttered. "Maybe I could have helped, but now it was too late." That night, Adam sat by the river bank, watching the moon reflect off the water. He held the little cloth rabbit Maya had once left at his place. He hadn't returned it, thinking she'd visit again soon. Now, he held it close. "I'm sorry," he said softly to the night. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there." Though he didn't know where they had gone, he knew one thing: he would never forget them. And if ever they returned, if ever Maya called his name again, he would be waiting. The road back to the countryside was long and dusty, winding through hills and golden fields. Dee carried most of the bags on his shoulders, while Huyen held Maya's hand tightly. Maya walked without complaining, though her eyes kept turning back as if still hoping to see their little house one last time. But there was nothing behind them now, only memories. Ahead lay uncertainty, and yet a sliver of hope. When they finally reached the old hometown, it was just as Huyen remembered. The smell of soil after rain, the distant sound of buffalo hooves, the quiet breeze that carried the scent of bamboo and firewood. The small, inherited plot of land where Huyen's grandparents once lived had long been abandoned, but it was still there. Weeds had taken over, and the roof was nearly caved in, but it was something. It was a beginning. "Let's clean this place up," Dee said, rolling up his sleeves. Maya's eyes sparkled. "Are we going to live here now, Mommy?" "Yes, sweetheart," Huyen smiled gently. "This will be our new home." The first few days were hard. They cleared out the overgrown grass. Dee patched up the roof using old tin sheets and bamboo. Huyen cooked simple meals over a fire pit. Maya picked wildflowers and helped carry water from the stream. There was no electricity, no running water, but there was silence, peace, and the sound of birds in the trees. Every morning, Dee woke early to dig the soil behind the house, turning it over to plant vegetables. He was determined not to let Huyen and Maya go hungry. Huyen started raising a few chickens borrowed from a kind neighbor. Maya, with her little chalkboard, practiced her numbers under the shade of a jackfruit tree. Sometimes, she would stop and sing to herself, her voice like sunlight after rain. Huyen often paused to watch her, heart full of love and quiet pain. Despite everything, Maya was still so joyful, so innocent. "I just want her to have a better life," Huyen whispered to Dee one night. "She will," he replied, placing a hand over hers. "We'll make it happen, bit by bit." The village people were kind. Some remembered Huyen from long ago. A neighbor brought over banana leaves. Another offered seedlings. An old man nearby showed Dee how to trap fish in the stream. One afternoon, the village chief came by. "I heard you've returned," he said. "We're glad you're back. If you need help getting Maya into the school nearby, let me know." Tears welled up in Huyen's eyes. "Thank you, sir. That means so much to us." The days passed quietly but steadily. Huyen and Dee worked side by side, sometimes in silence, sometimes sharing gentle smiles. They rebuilt the walls of the old house, wove bamboo mats, boiled water for baths. At night, they sat outside, watching the stars. Maya would lie on Huyen's lap, pointing up at the sky. "That one's the brightest," she'd say. "That's our star, Mommy." Huyen would hold her close, thinking maybe this really could be a new chapter. Not easy, not perfect, but theirs. One evening, as fireflies danced in the garden and the rice fields swayed gently under the moonlight, Dee turned to Huyen. "Do you regret coming back?" he asked softly. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "No, I regret nothing, because wherever we go, as long as we're together, I'm home."